Okay, we don't like to talk about it a lot, but there's some weird people out there in the world who like to do creepy things, like hiding cameras. From a lot of Airbnbs to public washrooms and a hidden kitchen cam, here are the top 10 unsettling times people didn't realize the camera was on. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have Alex Undone. This unsettling story comes from an Instagrammer who went by the username Alex Undone. They posted a photo of what looks like a little USB charging cube thingy, and for some reason, also a sort of SD card. The caption of the photo tells a very creepy story. Basically, Alex had checked into an Airbnb and after a long day at work had a nice cozy bath, had a bite to eat, and then headed over to the living room to chill out before bed. That is when they found this little USB cube, but this is when Alex also realized that this little cube actually had a camera hidden inside. The craziest part is that Alex only realized because they had remembered a warning from a model that went viral about how people did that sort of thing in places like Airbnbs or changing rooms or other disgusting things like that. Thankfully, Alex did their job and reported the finding, and the listing was subsequently removed from Airbnb, but I can't imagine how horrifying that must have been for Alex to find. In our number 9 spot today, we have a smoke detector. This story comes from a woman's apartment in Sacramento, California. Carlin Perry made quite a horrifying discovery in her apartment when she realized that her smoke detector was in fact not that, but was really a hidden camera. Written right on the thing, it said, "This is not a smoke detector, will not detect heat or smoke, for video surveillance only." This is wrong for so many reasons. Aside from the obvious hidden camera thing and how disgusting that is, the fact that she was living her life expecting her smoke detector to be able to actually do the thing it's supposed to do, like, how dangerous is that? There's a reason we have them. Not only did she end up moving out of the complex, but she is also using her story and her voice to help warn other renters. In our number 8 spot today, we have a motion detector. I hate that there's going to be too many Airbnb stories on this list, but unfortunately there are some horrible people out there in the world. This story was told by the coworker of the person it happened to. Basically, they posted a photo with the caption, quote, in "Oh, that's a thing now? News?" A colleague of mine thought it was odd that there was a single motion detector in his Airbnb in the bedroom, and voila, it's an IP camera connected to the web. He left at 3 a.m., reported, host is suspended, colleague got refund. Like, how insane is that? I'm glad that the people he told this story to actually listened and were able to point out exactly what about this story just wasn't right. I'm glad they got a refund for their horrible experience and that the host was suspended, but that still certainly really isn't any consolation at all. In our number 7 spot today, we have a cactus. This probably tops the list of most unexpected places to find a hidden camera. This story comes from Reddit from a user called Feet Outsider, and they said, quote, "I was re-gifted a plastic cactus figurine by a coworker. When I was going to bed, I accidentally kicked the cactus over and found a spy cam inside. I asked my coworker about it and she freaked out because a guy that made her uncomfortable had gifted it to her a few weeks earlier. She apologized for giving it to me. I tossed it. Thank goodness that thing accidentally got knocked over. I mean, imagine if it hadn't. How terrible you'd feel to be the person who unknowingly regifted that thing. Honestly, if someone who made me uncomfortable gifted me something, I'm glad I know that it's likely best to just toss it away. I hope they also filed some sort of report about the whole thing, because whoever gave them that cactus definitely needs to be looked into just a little bit. In our number 6 spot today, we have Smoke Detector Part 2. This story starts off with a family from New Zealand who was traveling around Europe when they checked into their Airbnb in Cork, Ireland. The father of the family worked in IT security, and like the smart man he is, he started off by scanning the house's Wi-Fi network. While the scan was likely pretty routine for him, it definitely unveiled something that he wasn't necessarily expecting: a camera that was connected to a live feed. The family scanned the home searching for it and found it hidden in another one of those pesky little smoke detector hidden ones. The family called Airbnb, and apparently at first they were pretty blasé about the entire thing. The family confronted the host of the Airbnb over the phone, who at first hung up on them, and later called back to say that the hidden camera in the living room was the only one in the house. I don't care if it's the only one, I care that there's one at all. What a weird justification. In the end, however, the family contacted the right people at Airbnb who removed the host from the platform, and thankfully the family did that scan and got the heck out of there pretty quickly after first checking in. In our number 5 spot today, we have a kitchen cam. By this point in the list, you've probably started searching your own home for a hidden camera. I mean, I did, but I only found this one right in front of me. Just to add a bit of a breather in the middle of this horrifying list, we have this story that comes from the Reddit user Ace of Shovels. They said, quote, "Found a small camera hidden in my parents' kitchen overlooking the whole room. I found it, Dad came downstairs." Okay, that's definitely weird, but then they have typed in quotation marks, "Finally caught you eating my yogurts." This guy is the Go-Gurt gatekeeper. That's the most dad energy wrapped up into one little short story. He probably interrogated her about the thermostat immediately after this. Okay, that was nice. Now, back to the creeps. In our number 4 spot today, we have a plug-in. A man named Max Vest, who checked into an Airbnb apartment in Miami, saw some plugins in the wall that kind of looked like those little cube chargey thingies, but it didn't have that USB part, so he had no idea what they were. Thankfully, instead of just chalking it up to some feature he didn't understand, he decided to look into it further and unplug the things from the wall. This is when he found the secret SD cards hidden inside, which made him realize it was, of course, a hidden camera. There were 2 of these little cubes found in his rented space. One was right below the TV, and the other was below one of those like plug-in air freshener things. Max took the SD cards to the police to report the incident and hopefully help protect others who may have been planning to rent that same unit. In our number 3 spot today, we have an air freshener. This is a creepy hidden camera story that comes from a shopping mall in Russia. Public washrooms are always just a weird, creepy experience, but this certainly takes it to a whole other level. Basically, a patron of this mall headed into the washroom where they saw an air freshener. Okay, no big deal. I mean, my first thought when I saw this air freshener was, oh, these ones? The ones that spray on their own and make you think someone is sneezing in the other room? These things that scare the heck out of you once an hour and no one needs to be spooked in a public washroom of all places? My next thought, however, is, just one? That's certainly suspicious on its own because you need at least 10 of those in a public washroom just to be functioning at neutral smell, you know? Anyway, luckily this patron also thought it was weird, and after a little further investigation, you guessed it, they found a sneaky little camera hidden inside. Honestly, I'm just grateful that someone else also thought one air freshener was weird and decided to check it out further. In our number 2 spot today, we have Starbucks. We're back again with another one of those little USB cube camera things, and now I'm suddenly feeling concerned. I would truly not think twice if I saw one of these things hanging out basically anywhere, so honestly, I'm glad I'm reading these stories and becoming just a little bit more aware. The caption of this one says, quote, "Found this camera disguised as a USB charger in the women's bathroom at the Starbucks I work at. It was plugged in directly across from the toilet. Please keep an eye out." Like, seriously, how gross can people be? Also, as if being a Starbucks employee who has to deal with Starbucks Karens all day isn't hard enough, you gotta add something like this? I'm just glad it was found at some point and dealt with properly. In our number 1 spot today, we have the X. This is a Reddit story that comes from the user IV0613, and it is one that actually gave me chills while I was reading it. They wrote, quote, "My ex-husband and I had been separated for a few months, and I was getting ready to go out to eat with my cousin. As soon as I got dressed, my phone rang, and it was the ex-hubby wanting to know where I was going dressed like that, and my brown boots would look better." And then in brackets, it says he bought or approved of all of my clothes when we were married and told me what to wear when we went out. I found cameras in almost every room of the house. He owned a security alarm business, so I assumed there would be 1 or 2, but not that he would be watching me all the time. Like, I absolutely could not imagine that. I'd feel like I was in some sort of horror movie if something like that happened to me. All I can say is I kind of get why they're an ex-husband. That kind of behavior is definitely not okay at all. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!